Oh, well, namaste, dear ones.
Namaste. I'm putting my arms out and I'm giving you a great big hug. I don't know if you can see it. Where would it be?
You need to scoot this way, honey.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
We have been playing around with technology for the last couple of minutes. Let's do something that's decidedly not technology. Let's see. You know, I brought this out.
Oh, we've got a song.
We got a song. You know what? I am one with all that is. God is everywhere. I am one with all that is. God lives in me. I am one with all that is. Spirit flows through all of us. I live in unity. I live in unity. You are one with all that is. God is everywhere. You are one with all that is. God lives in you. You are one with all that is. Spirit flows through all of us. You live in unity. You live in unity. And we all live in unity. Let's sing it. We are one with all that is. God is everywhere. We are one with all that is. God lives in us. We are one with all that is. Spirit flows through all of us. We live in unity. We live in unity.
Oh, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Pete Seeger, one of my favorite musicians in all of the world. Pete Seeger. Where Have All the Flowers Gone is the tune. And I wrote those lyrics a few years ago.
With some help.
With some help.
He always forgets me.
I don't always
I'm there.
forget you.
I'm putting in a word here and there.
Well,
yes.
Blessings, dear ones.
Bless you all.
That's right. Let's turn our thoughts to God in prayer. Let's focus our thoughts on the love of God and the power of God's love within us. And dear Mother, Father God, we set aside any concerns that we may have in this moment, and we come fully present, knowing that Spirit flows through us, knowing that in Spirit, in God, we live and move and have our being. The Christ Spirit within us leads us and guides us and helps us to know and discern the truth for ourselves and live that truth in practical expression in our lives. And we are so grateful. We pray this now in the name and through the mighty power of God within us, and say, thank you, God, together 3 times. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. So it is.
So it is.
And
God bless you all.
God bless you.
And you know, this is Unity Lincoln. We are a positive, practical, and progressive Christian spiritual denomination. We're actually, they invented the phrase interdenominational a few years ago, and that's what we're considered because we honor all faiths, all the good of God in all faith.
That's right. There's just just about everybody has something that they can contribute to the conversation, and that's important. And here at Unity Lincoln, we have a mission, and
Yes, we
let's
do.
share that mission together.
We
are
are
a loving spiritual community, consciously choosing to recognize and demonstrate we are God in action. And let us know this vision for the world.
We joyfully celebrate a loving world of peace, harmony, and abundance. We know that for ourselves, and as you join us, we know it for you. We see the loving world of God manifesting in your life and in your experience.
That's right. And we come to you every single Wednesday night here at Unity Cafe. It is a casual conversational service. A little bit of music, a little bit of conversation.
Yes.
For the last several weeks, we have been talking about relationships.
And this is my associate minister, Reverend Evan Coleman.
And this is my senior minister, Reverend Toni Stevens Coleman.
And we are partners in life. We are
partners in crime.
we are a couple. We're married, and we love this ministry. You have no idea how much we love this ministry.
We are just a wonderful little collection of people here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and reaching out to a broader community these days through Facebook and YouTube. Technology aside, occasionally the technology doesn't want to cooperate.
Looking at the clock there, we kind of lost a little time. We hope we've joined you and you've joined us. Sometimes you don't know until it's over. But
we are talking about relationships.
Yes,
we're
we
talking
are.
about, tonight, we're specifically talking about families and children.
Especially children.
You know, during this time of shutdown, this time of coronavirus, a lot of my...
It's put a lot of strain on people.
It really has. We have parents who are at home with children during the day.
Filling roles that they're not accustomed to filling.
They're
with
trying
their
to work
children,
from home. The
trying to
children
do
are
everything.
they're trying to be a second teacher or a primary teacher and help kids get their online learning done.
And you know, it's a tricky business.
It is.
Parenting is not easy, and most people are aware of that. Most people realize that it's a challenge today. You know, they used to just let kids.
And you know
go.
how much training people actually get to be parents?
None.
Practically
Very little.
I mean, if you're lucky, you got a little, but
If you're lucky, you had really good parents.
that's the better.
And
Good role
that is
models.
how you learned.
Good
Or-
role models do help,
Yes,
but
or
not
someone,
everybody had that.
someone who is a really good primary caretaker who could give you the skinny and basically show you how it's done. And so we're going to be talking about that today. Would you like me to go ahead and start?
Yes. You found
Yeah.
something from this is
Well,
from Parenting Week, the magazine.
And some of it's just from my experience, and some of it's also from an article that came actually today from Unity that I kind of borrowed, and that's where I'm going to start, and then we'll move into the Parenting Week. It's actually the edition from 2018, and an article called Power of Parent-Child Relationships that I found some very, I think, astute and valuable tips for us. But starting with this Unity news article that came out.
This was in The Path?
No, this was in a publication I subscribed to called Unity News, I think it's.
Okay.
And it was just, it's an outtake. It's actually for families, but that's relative. And I'm thinking of it specifically for children. That was what I was looking for. But, you know, families are children. Children are families often.
Well, it starts off with a familiar quote from
Yes.
Matthew 7 from...
It's a foundational idea.
That's right. Do unto others what you want to do.
Want them to
do to you. This is the meaning of the law of Moses and the teaching of the prophets. And of course, that is Jesus.
That is a quote from Matthew 7, verse 12.
It's commonly called the Golden Rule.
Right, right. The foundation of the Golden Rule we all learned in kindergarten. I think most of us would say that's true. And it's the idea to treat others the way that we want them to treat us, the way we want to be treated.
Everybody wants to be treated with respect, and it begins when we treat others with respect.
And Eric Butterworth, who used this phrase, called it a radical teaching of Jesus. He says, he gave it on the Sermon on the Mount. And Eric Butterworth is a well-respected, well-renowned Unity author, a minister. He's passed on now, but he's credited with bringing a lot of wisdom to people.
Well, as a matter of fact, the Tuesday night book club, Adeline's book club, is right now they are studying Discover the Power Within You. Now that class meets via Zoom, and you can contact the office, and you can see Discover the Power Within You had so many printings. I mean, it was an important book when I started
Very
Unity
important.
practicing.
In the 60s on.
40, yeah. When I first, it's one of the first books I read in Unity.
Yep.
So.
It's credited with giving Oprah Winfrey her start in healthy, practical thinking,
That's
in
right.
New Thought. And so Eric Butterworth says there are two Bible descriptions of the famous Sermon on the Mount. And the one is from Matthew that we just read, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the other is from Luke. And the Luke passage reads this way. It's a slightly different understanding of the phrase. It says, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. And that's from Luke 6, verse 37 and 38. And that also is considered the golden rule. And these are basic principles in family relationships. And especially if you think about your children in regards to embedding this idea in everything you think and do with your children.
And it starts by leading by example.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And it says, Unity minister Reverend Ed Townley offers a metaphysical explanation for Luke's passage. He says, there is a definite cause and effect at work. It is not, do not judge, and as a reward, God will cut you some slack and refrain from judging you. Instead, it suggests that judgment and condemnation do not come from God in the first place. They are human consequences of human choices. What causes us to feel judged or condemned, the only thing that causes us to feel judged or condemned is our own tendency to judge and condemn others. It seems to me this is valuable to be aware of when raising children and being in family relationships. In other words, judgment and condemnation doesn't come from God. It comes from us.
Yeah, it's our small nature.
The little I.
The little I.
The ego or the human consciousness.
Something really valuable to remember when dealing with children is to not come from that place, to come from your big heart.
That's right.
And
we see being led by Spirit, being led by the presence of God within you, where we see only love and we see only the Christ within. And then it's impossible to judge.
That's one of those pitfalls we fall into when we're raising our children. You know, everyone today, I believe, everyone wants to do the very best that they can. No one thinks about children without being loving today. It's just, our culture has evolved to that place. And yet we have these pitfalls we fall into because truly it wasn't very long ago that we were in a pretty dark place with regard to children.
Are you talking about, go ahead.
Well, I was going to share this. As recently as the Victorians, which is...
a couple of hundred years ago.
No, less than that. 1900. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Victoria and Albert, yeah.
I mean, we're talking 200 years ago. It was despicable how we treated children.
You're talking about workhouses, putting them to work at a young age.
Yeah.
It was normal to send them away to boarding school.
Basically to put them away until we could deal with them.
That's right.
Adults.
Let somebody else,
They
raise them.
considered, the Victorians considered children to be little adults, and they cast them in that role. And today, and this is really since World War II, this change and the idea of adding value to children, to not just how they could work and what they could do for us, not as possessions, but as beings, with a soul and a spirit that's evolving and growing, and that we could mold and love. I told you, when I was coming up, I don't think I ever heard the word love. It wasn't part of my family experience or anybody that I knew. But that really evolved into being through education, through people studying children. And that's all pretty new stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it was my family. I do know that there were, when I was growing up, there were families who were expressive of their love in terms of the words, and obviously,
there was caring and there was physical.
I'm talking about families actually saying they love you. I love you to a child, to and
your time was different, and also your mother, like my folks, all school teachers were kind of in the leading edge of this movement of realizing that children need to be nurtured and cared for and loved, and not just stored away until they got big enough to...
I remember this is again from Eric Butterworth, and when he says that for the educational process, the common belief, there was a little ditty that he said, to treat children in an educational setting, ram it in, cram it in, children's heads are hollow. And you just force force in the information, and they're supposed to learn how to just spit it back out again. But I am a big fan of, I'm not an expert, but I am a fan of Maria Montessori. You may have heard that name from Montessori schools, which is a different type of educational process. And Maria Montessori had a phrase that she used called "follow the child." Follow the child.
Idea.
And in education, the idea that if you want to be an effective educator, the idea was to draw out from them rather than cram it in. You want to be able to draw out the wisdom of the child. And yes, you look for educational opportunities. This is math, this is science, this is reading, this is whatever.
Provide educational
But it's much more it's much more providing an environment where the child feels loved, cared for, protected, and encouraged, and allow them to guide their educational, or at least participate in their educational upbringing, in the educational process that they're going through.
I looked up the word child and children, and as recently as 1989, as recently as that, the Children Act of 1989 in the United States defines a child as anyone who has not yet reached their 18th birthday, even if they are living independently, are a member of the armed forces, or in the hospital. The legal definition of a child is the immediate offspring of a person. The more precise word for such an individual is minor, juvenile, or infant. And then I discovered that in England and Scotland, there still is no legal definition of a child in law. Think of that. I mean, it's like there's this blank space, this hole. The parent-child relationship consists in combination of behaviors, feelings, and expectations that are unique to a particular parent and a particular child. And the relationship involves the full extent of a child's development. And that is where we are today.
Yeah. Anyone who has not yet reached their 18th birthday, some 18-year-olds are just plain, they are adults. They are adults. Or maybe not completely.
They've had
I know that
experiences that have pushed them to that awareness.
I know that when I was 18, I still had a heck of a lot of growing up to do. And there were 18-year-olds that were much more mature than I was at that age.
So you need, people poke fun at the current legislation in the Obamacare Act that allows children up to 24 to be under their parents' insurance.
Health insurance.
But this could give us cause to rethink that, because the legislators who created that had an awareness that perhaps those who disagree with that, or who poke fun at that, because I've heard as recently as today, people commenting on how silly that is. And yet, look at the state of where we are today. And actually, if you think about this, and the fact that a person today, science and medicine and many professors will tell you that their mind is not evolved and developed. Their bodies are not evolved and developed, and they haven't got the maturity level of an adult, a true adult, until they're 24.
It makes perfect sense. I think that those years between the time you would typically graduate high school and the time you would typically graduate college, those years are critical. You're not reasoning completely or totally until you have achieved. I think they're absolutely right. The brain just simply does not fully develop, especially that prefrontal cortex is just not 100% there until a little later.
So it gives you cause to think about it in a whole different awareness. That's what I've been doing today. Most people today strive for healthy relationships with their children, which means that parents and children can handle disagreements and they can handle conflicts without any abuse or neglect or violence. You develop techniques for working with these things. Healthy parenting benefits families because parents and children grow healthy, strong relationships with each other. And that takes some thinking, some awareness on the adult part, and some enlisting the participation of children. You know, there's a gentle, loving way to create relationships. And that's what we want to think about. Can I do this in a loving way?
You know, and a lot of things come into being. Of course, we've already talked about making certain the child is safe, cared for, is has an enriched environment. It's called in education. They have an enriched.
That doesn't mean you need to spend a lot of money.
No.
It means you need to be imaginative and creative and follow the child's interests.
That's right.
And also take care of your own interests.
And that means
children will encourage them to care about you.
That's right. It's not too young for a child to, for instance, have a chore list.
Oh,
And you know that depending, age specific, you always want to be age appropriate with a child's tasks, and you want to be age appropriate with your expectations. Right. At a certain age, that kid is not going to sweep the floor the way as well as you would sweep the floor, but the floor gets swept.
Trust and respect are essential to a positive parent-child relationship. In the early years with your baby, developing trust is important. And, I'm going to guess a lot of people don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. But that little baby, for me it was always the baby on the hip, needs to develop your trust, needs to be trusting, be able to trust that he's safe, she's safe. Your baby will feel secure when they learn that they can trust you, and to trust the other main characters and caretakers all around them. Their needs are met, and they feel secure, and they grow up feeling loved. And that's where it starts. You can nurture and trust and respect in your relationship.
The parent-child relationship is one that nurtures the physical, emotional, and social development of the child. It is a unique bond that every child and parent will and can enjoy and nurture. This relationship lays the foundation for the child's personality, life choices, and overall behavior. It can also affect the strength of their social, physical, mental, and emotional health.
Something to think about.
Now, you've had, in this conversation, you've had the benefit of actually having a child. My biggest experience with children was as a youth ministry leader. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I taught Sunday school. And so I have more observation of other people's parenting styles and what they felt was appropriate, but I know that the children that I know who grew up in unity with parents who believed in unity, they grow up so emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
They
say what they think. They mean what they say. They children in unity tend to have a foundation of trust
yeah.
and of love.
But I think that could be
gentleness.
said. I think that could be said for any parents who have some skills.
Well, it's not exclusive to unity,
No.
but unity definitely that's where we live.
You know.
And I tell my Sunday school teachers the one thing that I want to say is we do not have discipline here. When someone is acting out on a Sunday morning, I tell them we have 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to make that a miserable hour. It doesn't matter if the kid comes in and they're upset or they've had a bad day or they're in a bad mood or they're acting out in some way. Change the subject, redirect, as long as it takes, as much as it takes, find something lovely that this child wants to do or interact with. And you know, it may take you the whole hour, but you still have shifted that energy. And we are not going to put the kid in the corner. We are not going to, discipline.
We want to see them back. We want to make certain that children feel like unity is a safe place. That's
supportive.
I know that we've succeeded when the kid drags the parents to church.
Yeah.
When the kid is dragging the parents to church, I know we've done our job.
Yeah.
And that's really it. That happens. I've seen it happen.
Oh yeah, I have too. I've been there.
We have a very, very dear friend, Mary
Ellen.
Mary Ellen taught, among many other things, she taught unity. She was a unity youth minister, Sunday school teacher, etc. Sunday school coordinator, developer.
She took care of the whole department.
Her kids just loved her, and they were so enthusiastic about showing up to church every week.
Yeah. Well, and Debbie Allen too.
Debbie Allen too.
We know a number of unity teachers that, the most loving models to be around children.
I remember one of the things that I was going to say around this about about interacting with children, and especially in those moments when they may be acting out, when they may be, is that children do not always have the language that they need to tell you how they are feeling, and so instead they act out.
Yeah.
And if you can shift the focus, if you can shift the energy, and one of the most effective tools I've ever seen employed was use your words.
Use your words. It's such a good idea, thing to remember when working with children, when being around children.
Because if you can get the kid talking.
Use your words, but you want to not just jabber at them. You want to teach them to use their words, to be empowered, to have the language.
And you could ask questions like, are you feeling sad? Are you feeling angry? Are you hungry? Do you need to lie down? Are you okay? Just let the child know that that it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. And when you can tell somebody how you're feeling rather than acting out, it helps everybody. It helps them get what they want frequently.
It empowers them, and that also you're giving them tools. You're teaching them something of value.
That's right.
Yeah. So today's child rearing includes awareness of these wonderful attributes and benefits, just things to think about.
Young children who grow with a secure and healthy attachment to their parents stand a better chance of developing happy and content relationships with others in their life. Because they've seen good models. Oh, this is what a healthy relationship looks like. When children have a role model of what a healthy relationship looks like in their parents, in the most important people in their lives.
Right.
That's another
There's
thing I
lots
wanted.
of parent stand-ins.
That's right. Because we do, I want to acknowledge that not every family looks like the mother and father who stay at home and they got 2.5 children, and that's not
whoever the primary caretakers are.
That's right. Babies' first teachers is the what is deemed a family these days is much more than who is your biological mother or father, who is of blood, who is,
Not really a relative in some family situations. I know, I was blessed with wonderful role models, and most of them were not my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Well, you talked about growing up with a whole lot of uncles. That your parents,
my daughter grew
Oh,
up with
that's
a lot of uncles.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
You were
They-
talking about that your daughter. You
they
had
were
a whole lot
there.
of peers. You had a whole lot of single
We
friend
had
peers.
single friends, and she had a lot of aunts and uncles, but especially the uncles were significant to her because she was kind of a tomboy.
Ah.
She liked to climb trees and ride her horse and do stuff that she could do, fixing the
Guy stuff.
guy stuff, which that was okay with me. That I thought that was real cool. So she played cars and trucks. It was a good thing.
And a child who has a secure relationship with parents learns to regulate emotions under stress and in difficult situations.
Think about that.
That's right. It promotes the child's mental, linguistic, and again we talked about use your words, promotes a child's mental, linguistic, and emotional development, helps the child exhibit optimistic and confident social behaviors. And you have no idea just how much, teaching a child to stand up straight and look people in the eye and smile and have a happy thing to say, and
knowing protocol and in a good way, in a loving, caring way.
That's right. Healthy parent involvement and intervention in the child's day-to-day life lays the foundation for better social and academic skills.
You're giving them tools again.
That's right. And hopefully a joy of learning.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully a joy of learning.
Yeah, I kind of stopped worrying about my daughter as she went into her teens and her acting out in that I could say she knew how to learn. She had learned how to learn. And that gave me, as a parent, great confidence that she was going to be okay. She's smart, and she used her smarts she knew how to read, she knew math, she had amazing skills, way ahead of herself. So when she started acting out, it was not fun. But it was understandable. She was too bright for her own good.
A little headstrong.
Yeah.
Again, that.
Hey, she knew everything.
I can't tell her. Let's see. Now some of their
have a
attributes, some of
secure-
these benefits is that they have a secure attachment. A secure attachment leads to healthy social, emotional, cognitive, and motivational development. Children also gain strong problem-solving skills when they have a positive relationship with their parents.
So, you know, it's value added. It's value added if you are aware of all of these things. Your parenting style, and this list actually is from the Parenting Week 2018 volume. They advise that there is a one size fits all when it comes to parenting. Now that's their words, not mine. We change and we adapt as our children grow. That's true. So I don't know how that one size fits all. However, following these simple positive parenting tips can help when it comes to your relationship with your child.
We warm and loving interactions. We treat every interaction as an opportunity to connect with your child or the child. Be warm in your expressions. Give eye contact, smile, and encourage interaction.
Have boundaries and rules and consequences. Children need structure and guidance. Talk to your children about what you expect of them and make sure that they understand. That's only being fair, I think.
Yeah, and of course, it again has to be age appropriate.
Yes, of course.
Let's see, acknowledge your child's feelings, show them that you understand, and reassure that you are there to help them whenever they have problems. Listen and empathize. Connection starts with listening. Try and see things from your child's perspective and foster mutual respect.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that's, yes, actually trying to put on, walk a mile in their shoes.
Yep.
Walk a mile in your child's shoes.
Problem solving. Help your child to problem solve. This is one of those wonderful skills to teach.
Yeah, don't just solve all their problems for them.
Right.
Help them develop those skills.
Be a good role model and show them how to behave through your own actions. When you work with your children to find solutions, they learn how to deal with difficulties in an appropriate way.
Strengthen the parent-child relationship. Forming a connection with your child is important to developing a strong parent-child relationship. And here are some tips to help with strengthening your relationship with your children.
Tell your child to love them, that you love them.
Say it.
Say it. I actually think that's really important. Show it and say it.
That's right.
The words today are very important, and we've talked about how important words are, how powerful. Of course you love your children, but tell them every day, no matter what age they are. Even on difficult days, let your child know that you didn't like the behavior that you don't like, but you still love them unconditionally. A simple "I love you" can do a lot to strengthen a relationship. And I would say that's true in all relationships.
I know it's strengthened ours.
I know it strengthens
We
ours.
say "I love you" a lot to each other.
Yeah.
I think we do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean it. I'm always conscious of it, and I say it to my friends and to my colleagues sometimes. You know that it's to my congregants. They're warm fuzzies. You know, it's valuable words. They're words that kind of ring a little bit.
That's right. I know that whenever I've had this happen a few times when we've been on the phone with one another and someone has overheard us talking on the phone, and they always come back to me, Oh, that is just so sweet. You are so loving with your wife. You tell her that you love her, and
So it rings for the people around you too.
That's
see.
right. That love
Yeah,
just
it
kind of
shifts
goes
the
out.
energy, just that.
And
that
here's
little
one
bit.
more tip. Play together. Play with your child. Play is so important to children's development. Young children can develop many skills through the power of play. And
That's true.
And it's just so play does not necessarily have to be structured time, and that is really important. Letting the child have at least some unstructured time.
And right now, I think that may be difficult.
Oh well,
Parents feel that responsibility and that demand on structuring every moment, and it's a good thing to let your kid have downtime and just fiddle around.
And again, that's where an enriched environment helps. Have art supplies, or have
windows full of things that are interesting to look at. Going to
a park, going to
opportunities. Then it doesn't need a lot of money. When my daughter was little, people wanted to give her all kinds of things, which was great. That's fine, grandparents and all. But her greatest fun and pleasure was getting in the kitchen cupboards. And she had a whole, two-door section of her kitchen.
And those were the things that she could, no questions
Anything in
asked.
that cupboard, she could fiddle with it, play with it, and she would add things to it, and she would, do all kinds of stuff. And sometimes the pots and pans were pots and pans, and sometimes they were drums.
Oh, that was one of my fun. That's one of when I was single, I would date women with children sometimes, and I remember I don't remember just exactly how old the child was, but I'm guessing about 2. And the mama needed to do something in the kitchen. She needed to cook us something, and she went to the child's cabinet, opened the door, and the child pulled every pot and pan out onto the floor and started playing with it.
So important. And we forget that. I think in our culture today, we think that everything has to be manufactured for purpose. It has to be purposed. And again, imagination is, how do you develop it? Well, you develop it by giving opportunities, possibilities.
And sometimes it also that makes a difference in how much attention that you give to the child in that moment. Sometimes a child needs all of the attention that you can give them. They need that careful interaction. But sometimes they're just fine.
They need to learn to be alone also. That's right. To have good quality time with themselves.
If you are in their sphere and, aware of what they are doing, that's all the interaction that they really need. They need to know that you're there.
They need to know they're safe.
They need to know they're safe. But they don't necessarily need you hovering all the time.
Right. So that play together is very important. And then
the same thing, be available. We just talked about that. Make time to talk to your child without any distractions. Even 10 minutes a day can make a big difference in establishing good communication skills, good communication habits. Turn off the TV. Have at least some time when they don't have their iPad or they don't have any technology, and that you are there for them, spending quality time together.
And a good part of that can be experienced if you eat your meals together. Again, this is one of those things that can be a demand on parents today, and it is so important. My greatest memories with my new family after I after I was adopted. My greatest memories are really of my of my folks.
I don't.
Having parents, adults sit there and say, "How was your day? What did you do today? What do you think about that?"
I don't remember just exactly when my family stopped having all of our having the evening meal together without any other distractions. I think about the same time that I was 10 or so, my sister was in college, and so she wasn't at the table. And then there seemed to be other distractions. My brother was off doing things. He was in high school. He was off doing things. And I think it was about that time that we stopped having having most of our meals together, and there began to be other distractions other than just having the evening meal together.
Yeah. And things do change. And so that's part of it, is to be aware that this is going to evolve. It's going to change. So spend one-on-one time with your children. That's most valuable. Most valuable. And so we've covered some really, I think, wonderful things, ideas. And again, be aware, especially of the idea of doing unto others what you would have them do unto you. And that general, everything will be better for you if it's better for everybody.
That's right.
And you don't have to work at it if you just hold the idea.
Yeah. It is about that time. It is just about that time. Let's receive an offertory blessing. That's there we go. And if you are at home, you can say this with us. Just hold your pocketbook, your purse, your offering, a checkbook, anything that represents abundance and prosperity to you. Hold that left hand, the God hand, right hand, the multiplying hand, and affirm this with me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. Thank you, God. And you can send your tithes and love offerings to paypal.me/UnityLincoln. That is paypal.me/UnityLincoln. If you're watching this on YouTube, that link is in the little box below you. You can also send, if you use PayPal regularly, you can send to office@unitylincoln.org. You can send it to us the old-fashioned way, either through the mail or have your bank set up a bank transfer. Unity Lincoln, P.O. Box 30209, Lincoln, Nebraska 68503. Or you can go.
Thank you so much. Those of you who regularly gift us, we appreciate it. It's keeping the lights on and the mortgage paid, and we truly appreciate you.
We so appreciate you, and remember. And you know what? Let's have our little swing. Give and God gives it back to you. Give and God gives it back to you. Give and God gives it back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, back in good measure. God gives it back to you. That's right. And once again, we have been Unity Cafe with Revs, Toni, and Evan. We come to you each and every Wednesday night. Here at Unity Lincoln, I want to draw your attention to our worship service every single Sunday morning at 10:30. And we have a good time. This week is the life force. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about this week. The life force.
And, I'm touching just a little bit on Halloween issues, ideas, as well as just the general idea of this force that moves and lives and has its being within us.
That's right.
The life force.
We've already mentioned that on Tuesday night, Adeline's Friends Book Club meets on Zoom, and you can contact the office at unitylincoln.org, and we will get you the Zoom contact for that. My metaphysics class is on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. As a matter of fact, we are starting self-awareness.
Oh, great.
Well, I hope we're not just starting self-awareness.
Yeah, hopefully you're engaged.
That we are engaged in self-awareness this week.
But he's going to be talking, you're going to be discussing the topic.
That's right. And let's share our prayer for protection as we exit. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all, dear ones. Namaste. Namaste.
Have a wonderful rest of the week. And God bless you and your families and your children. Wherever you are, we see you healthy and whole and well and evolving through this time of challenge on many fronts. God bless you.
God bless you all. Be well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.